Spencer, Jeff Hurst, the Trevor Brooking and Billy Bonds, Paolo Di Canio, West Ham United. We celebrate our victories, we stick together in defeat. I'm proud of our history, West Ham United, more than just a podcast, more than just a podcast.
Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. This is more than just a podcast. Season 13, episode 28, and you hear the dulcet tones of John. Where are you? What are you doing?
I'm at home talking to yous, doing a podcast.
And Cannington Len, where
Hello.
are you? Welcome back. Where are you? What are you doing?
I'm doing a podcast with you because I didn't do a painting this afternoon.
There you go. No, Nigel, he is in Swansea. Technically, that's abroad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Foreign
different
country.
Foreign country. Should be back next week. It could be an interesting night tonight because Nigel, we were talking on WhatsApp. He's not here tonight, but was listening on the radio. John, do you want to say where were you during the game?
I was relocating my daughter back to uni after Christmas break.
And Len?
It was on, but I was doing painting and wasn't watching.
So this might be an interesting.
Come on, you Irons!
Come on, you Irons. Well, at least I watched the game.
Yeah.
People
But
do say
you couldn't
it's...
find anything better to do like the rest of us.
Do you know what? It was interesting. I was out actually, and I got to watch it. But my son was playing for Horsley. He plays for Horsley Bees in Surrey, and the clubhouse obviously has Sky and TNT. So they were 3-0 up at half time. So I went into the clubhouse, looking out the window, watching my son play football, and watched the game there with a beer.
Oh, nice.
Well, I didn't, not with a beer actually, because actually it's dry January. I'm not drinking, and I am trying to be the Noom Slimmer of the Year, John, this year. I have lost 3 kilos already. I'm due to get married, hopefully late this year, and I've got 27 kilos to lose between now, and I've lost my first 3 kilos. There you go.
Okay,
Stone.
in English,
27
what are we
stone.
talking? It's 27 kilos.
4 stone.
You're going to try and lose 4 stone before you get married?
Yeah, 4 stone.
Good on you.
What are you going to do, Sean?
I'm using an app called Noom.
Eat less and
Why, is
exercise
that
more.
going to make
it's
you
not-
lose weight? An app?
It's an app called Noom. And Noom, basically, you eat green food. It's a calorie-controlled diet, right?
Ah,
But you eat green foods, yellow foods, and amber foods, and you make up certain things.
oh yeah.
And allow.
You can't just stop being a greedy cunt. You got to do
No.
like red, amber, green.
Yeah, exactly.
On an app.
Yeah, on an app, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about the app, yeah. Anyway, it's not a diet podcast. It is a football podcast. We've had an international break. Sorry we weren't around last week, but no one could be asked to record. Well, that's true. I asked everyone, they go, what's there to talk about? And I went, lots.
Well, I thought there would have been one. I was a bit disappointed. So I enjoyed
I asked
listening.
you as well.
Yeah, I know, but you knew I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Anyway, later on, just a little teaser. We're going to talk about David Moyes' contract next season. We're going to talk about Calvin Phillips. We're going to talk about whether we're signing any strikers and any other transfer news. We're going to talk about Ben Johnson. We're going to talk about Benny, Benrahma, and Agur. But more of that later. Let's talk football. We played the Blades, Sheffield United, yesterday. I don't know. What were your expectations, lads? Did you think that they're not the best? I mean, they're bottom of the league, right?
Yeah, so go there and beat them.
You did. You thought we could just go.
Well, I'd like to go to a team at the bottom of the league and try and be the fucking better team. That's not too much to ask. Oh, well, according to Rio Ferdinand,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah. Well,
What is he
I'll tell
like?
you, I can answer that very succinctly. What is it? I didn't see this because I'm avoiding the media because I just think it's it's getting a bit like football's getting a bit like the Running Man. It's all about sort of like the ratings and the shit like that all around it. It's all sort of filtering down to the social media hits, everything. I don't know why he looked into the camera, but I'm not looking for it. But he's saying like, what is it that what you West Ham fans want? Well,
Yeah.
hope rather than expectation is the answer. Because as a fan, it's the hope that excites you. It's the expectation that makes things a bit dull. And, you know, you expect to see the team and style, and you get it. And really, if you take away the things that all like the media enjoyed like, in the last 6 minutes of the game, it was another shit performance. So you back to your question, what did you expect? I expected to lose, but I want to go in there and win. Well, I expected a bad performance, but you know, I want someone to find a way of winning, whether it be the manager or players. I don't
Yeah.
think that's a lot to ask against Sheffield United in chaos, by the way,
Yeah.
and actually didn't play very well themselves.
No, I mean,
Maybe I'm just, expecting much, and I'm a
It would
miserable
be.
middle-aged man. But
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to go sixth in the league to the team at the bottom of the table,
yeah,
and sort of like impose
yeah,
yourself on the game.
yeah.
That would be
I
good.
mean, obviously we had no Paquetá.
Yeah, but
Um,
everyone
and
keeps throwing that in there.
well,
No
do you know the
Paquetá.
bigger miss was
No,
Alvarez, in my view.
Well, yeah, probably.
Alvarez has still got a calf injury. It's not supposed to be too serious, but we had no Alvarez, no Paquetá.
No,
Kudos, obviously,
no,
in African nations, as is Agur.
yeah.
So, Areola starting, Sufal, Mavropanos, Zuma, Emerson, Cornet, Suchet, Ward-Prowse, Fornells, Ings, and Bowen, which was a surprise. And you gave a little bit more hope when you saw, Bowen was starting. Both Bowen and
how did he perform? Obviously, I didn't see much at all.
he was sort of drowned out. He got some chances, but it just wasn't happening for him. And Danny Ings was easily the man of the match, John. I mean,
Well, he played him. He played him sort of like behind Bowen, didn't
he
he?
did, yeah.
So he hasn't got
Yeah,
to
so Bowen up front and
keep. He
Ings
hasn't got
just
to run around and try and do the Antonio role.
yeah, it was a 4-4-1-1 with Bowen up front and Ings just behind him. But it worked really well for Ings, and Ings got 2 assists. I mean, obviously one of them was a penalty, but he won the penalty, which for Fantasy League was an assist. And he assisted Cornet for his first Premier League goal as well. Bowen had a quieter day. It just wasn't really coming off for him. He had a few chances, but he just
So how did we look, Sean? Were we the better team?
no, we weren't the better team. But that said, we could have done enough to win. And if we talk
Well,
about,
that's
we
what
weren't the better
Why didn't
team.
we then?
that's what Rio
Well,
Ferdinand should look at when he looks at the camera.
I
Because we,
Yeah.
we
guess
quite
so.
often can win a game but don't look like we should, and we look shit all game.
Yeah, I mean, look, they probably wanted it a bit more. They looked probably better, and in some ways that first goal that Cornet went was against run of play, but you didn't feel like they were going to score, yeah, and then they did. You're right. You just thought, oh, well, that sort of went against everything. I mean, let me just do the stat attack. Sheffield United had 57%, and we had 43% of the ball. They had 20 shots, 6 on target. We had 16 shots, 5 on target. They had 4 corners to our 1. They fouled 11 times to our 10.
Not great stats, is it?
It's not
For
great
us.
stats for us.
Against the fucking team at the bottom of the league.
We didn't dominate. We wanted them to have the ball. And, when Cornet, went ahead on 28, we looked comfortable in defending. Of course, we didn't go for the second one. We seemed to be defending, letting them have the ball and run around. And we paid the price. They scored just before half time on 44 minutes. And all that work is undone. And we go in to the break at 1-1, and you're just thinking, what's all that about then? you know, second half, it got even worse. The penalty, and I thought, look, this has got draw written all over it. But fast forward to 79 minutes when Ward Prowse took the penalty. Now, for me, I know Sheffield United fans said Stone, it was a soft penalty, but it didn't look soft. You can't do that. Was there any malice? No. Did he absolutely bundle him over in the penalty? Yes, he did. So it doesn't matter if there's any malice. The rules are pretty clear. It was a pen. Ward Prowse. I thought Bowen might take it, but Ward Prowse, great penalty, straight down the middle with power, 2-1. And you're thinking, do you know what? The way that Sheffield United have played, that is probably enough. 10 minutes to go. We've only got to hold on for 10 minutes. And then we get past 90 minutes and then the fun starts, right? So first of all, Brewster gets sent off on 93 minutes. And, there was no doubt in my mind that it should be a sending off. I know that Wilder said it shouldn't have been a sending off. And they're down to 10 men. And then 4 minutes later, Soufal gets sent off for a second yellow. The first yellow should never have been a yellow, and he gets the second yellow. It's like the ref was trying to equal it up.
He's been getting away with it for a few games. So
he was complaining to referee. He got his second yellow for complaining to the referee. Arguable whether he should have got the first yellow. Then you get the penalty, right? You get the penalty on what was it? 103 minutes, the latest goal ever scored in the Premier League, and basically, and I'm sure you've seen the pictures, guys. Areola comes out, he tries to punch the ball, he misses the ball. I forget the guy's name. He misses the ball as well. But actually, on the replay, you see that actually the Sheffield United guy makes contact with his arm, his shoulder, right into Areola, and he ends up with a big fat lip. He's so injured he can't carry on, and they're awarded a penalty. Now, independently, I know rose-tinted glasses and everything from West Ham fans. Most people have said that should have been a foul on Areola, not a penalty against us. But again, VR give it. But that's not the travesty of it. The travesty is, with the last kick of the game, Bowen is in to score, and he gets it. I don't know if either of you have seen it. It's like a rugby tackle or a WWF wrestling challenge. It's so unbelievable. And as he's wrestled down, the ball hits Bowen's hand, right? The ref gives handball, right? He did touch his hand, but after he was wrestled to the ground. And VAR doesn't look at it, and the ref blows up. And David Moyes goes absolutely bloody mental. He chases the ref down the tunnel. Mark Goldbridge, Man United YouTuber, says, add West Ham to the people who've been hard done by. And pretty much everybody, even Sheffield United.
Oh, we must have been hard done by then if he says so.
Exactly. He's not going to do us any favours. Have you seen it, John?
I've seen it, of course I've seen it.
I sent you some videos, didn't I?
Yeah, of course I've seen it. You know what I mean? The fact that the player himself put it up on social media later with a wrestling thing, he's just taking the piss, isn't he? So, yeah. I mean,
look, did we deserve to win it?
Decisions.
Probably not. But should we have won 3-1 or 3-2? Yes, we should have done. And it feels 2 points dropped.
Did we miss opportunities during the game to score more goals?
Yes.
It's just
our finishing wasn't good.
I think you could go through all these things, Sean. It's not good enough for me, to be honest. You could try and be the better, the better team, considering everything says that you are. It didn't happen. It's the old thing's turning me off West Ham a bit.
Yeah, but all right, but there's still a point, whether you like it or not. refereeing is consistent.
Oh yeah, no,
we know that. We're not
As I
arguing with
said,
that.
as I
But
said to Mr. Mark Saggers on Talk TV last night,
well,
Oh,
you on
hello.
that way, Sean?
VAR was brought in to make to take the uncertainty out of the game, but it's brought in more uncertainty out of the game and made referees lazy. And there's just no consistency.
Well, he didn't make
Whether
him
it's
lazy because he didn't revert to
we didn't
VAR, did
know.
he?
No. But
So
isn't VAR supposed to say? I didn't. I wonder if they
yeah, we
release
should
the
have done.
video, whether they're going, hang on. Oh, he's blown up. The whistle's over. No, it's too late. You can't review it. I don't know. But
well, I had enough
immediately
time,
after-
didn't they? They didn't take the penalty for another 5 minutes.
No, after the
Ah,
penalty. This is after the penalty, though.
I mean, the decisions are clearly awful, and the refereeing display
Yeah.
was awful. And we, you know, by rights, then looking how the game went, and if the decisions were correct, we would have won that game.
Yeah.
I fully accept that. That's.
But did we
I
deserve
accept
it?
that
You're
argument.
probably right. That
Yeah, but I just, you know, it's just overall, it's just I get so bored of hearing people saying what's happened to Fornals, what's Cornet done. You know, Ben Rama, you know, you've got to look at it in the whole. Ben Rama, Fornals were regular players 18 months ago, and barely get a look in that now. Barely even don't even get a sniff of a game. You know, they just the way Moyes has managed his squad is the reason why our fringe players are shit fringe players. They were starters 18 months ago. So there's so many things in the round. You know, you just got to look at it in the whole. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a bit with with Len, sort of saying like bottom line is it's all getting a bit blur, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just fucking dull.
It's just like
We're pushing our lives away. Just get the end of the season. Give it
Well, you didn't miss. Let's be honest. You didn't miss a lot.
Well, on top of that, you know, I mean, on top of that, we get knocked out of the cup. Yeah, have we missed that? So we get knocked out of the cup as well. I again, Tuesday nights I go out or whatever. I'll get back in. Half hour the game's into it. We're 1-0 down. I settle down to watch it. What did we do for the second half apart from like everyone moan about Creswell got lumped or this happened and that happened? They wanted it more. They were better than us.
They did, but again, the referee lost control of
but
the game. I know it's not an excuse, John, but the referee was inconsistent, and they just took the piss in the end because they got more.
So we didn't get it this time.
Yeah.
So, but then again,
if you don't want it to happen, be a fucking better team. Just dry your fucking eyes.
But then after that game, everyone moans about it. Well, there you go. There you go. You got your two youngsters came on. They didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Well, like they came on at 80 minutes. They got another take. I mean, like how many minutes has Mubama had in total this season? You know, I mean, these kids you can't expect these players just to come on and make an impact. You know, it's just for me that cup game. He would have done well to start those two up front and change the team around and have a go at them.
Yeah.
Because we were short on players. Have a go at them. These two youngsters, when they came on, they looked good together.
I've just checked, John. We didn't. You're right. The last time we recorded was on the 9th of Jan. I'm just checking. When did we lose against Bristol City? 16th of Jan. Yeah. So we haven't talked about it. So.
So yeah, no, but all in the whole, it's all just a bit like, oh, okay, we haven't got Kudos, we haven't got Paquetá, we haven't got Alvarez, so we're shit now.
Let's quickly talk about the FA Cup. Obviously, away from home, they scored on 3 minutes. Benrahma got sent off for a ridiculous challenge on 51 minutes when we went down to 10 men. David Moyes has said this week he hasn't spoken to him about it and doesn't plan to speak about it.
Yeah, that's good management. Yeah.
Which is slightly bizarre. Danny Ings up front. Cornet played. Emerson, Soucek, Ward-Prowse, Soufal, Cresswell, Zuma, Mavropanos and Fabianski. So on the whole of it, it was a pretty strong team. You know, it's the strongest team we had. But, you know, and look, it's within their... right, they played dirty. They were quite physical, but this is where I think the ref didn't really get control of it and let the game sort of go on and slightly no VAR. That's the other thing, right? I don't want to turn into a moaning mini, but VAR at the first leg at the London Stadium, no
Because it's
VAR
Premier ground.
at Bristol City ground.
Because
What's
it's
that
not
about?
a Premier League
Well,
ground.
then shouldn't there be some consistency?
Yeah, but they aren't. There's no point in us bitching about on a podcast. It's not going to change anything.
No.
I agree with you. I mean, what you're saying is it's not that important. Well, we think it is. So if we can't agree a common ground, what's the point of discussing it with people? Not, you know, we're just fans, aren't we? Fans getting fucking bored of it all, to be quite honest with you.
Obviously,
getting
Ben
bored of it all.
Johnson, Mumbama, and Calvin Marshall came on. Mumbama and Marshall came on at the same time. But you know
What
what?
was it, about 80 minutes, wasn't it? Something like that.
I thought it was a little bit earlier. I'd have to have a look.
I mean, I thought he looked lively, that Marshall, and some of his interplay with Mumbama and some of the balls.
Oh yeah, it was. You're
crossfield.
right. 81 minutes. Mumbama came on for Ings, and Marshall 80 minutes. Marshall came on for Cresswell.
I mean, they are mid-table championship team. It's like, go for them.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll tell you one thing for both games. Ben Johnson's having a bit of a cracker. He actually looked like the best man in the... Which shows you how worse everyone else was. He was the best player against Bristol City, in my view. And, you know, he wasn't... I think Danny Ings was the best player yesterday against Sheffield United. But do you know what? Ben Johnson looked quite comfortable as a midfielder yesterday. I thought he played really well.
well, he's a decent player, isn't he? He's decent. He's
We're
another
talk
one
more
that's
about him later
sort of
in the
been
news section.
Oh,
pushed aside.
yeah. Anyway, any news that doesn't involve David Moyes or?
Well, I'll save that for later, but there is some noise. So let's start with a little bit of transfer news. Let's start with Calvin.
Oh dear.
100-day cough.
100-day cough he's got.
I've got
100
How many
cough.
days you in?
Well, it started on Christmas Eve, so I've got quite a way to go.
Does it affect your appetite?
No.
That's a shame, isn't
But
it?
no,
Because
well,
it would help. You could have like
Yeah.
2 wins
I'm
there. wouldn't it?
drinking 3 litres of water a day and green tea, John. So
Oh, so you're suffering from
I'm
water retention. isn't it?
weeing a lot. Yeah.
3 litres of water.
I like you. I go for a wee every 5 minutes. You know. So.
Yeah, there's other reasons for that at my age.
Anyway, Calvin Phillips. Look, we are interested. There's been some talk that it's a £7 million free plus his wages are £3 million. Absolute balderdash. It is expensive, right?
Balderdash.
He is on 135 grand a week. We are looking to pay those wages plus a bonus, right? That will be paid to him on, I don't know, league position, free clean sheets, wins, etc. But it's not 10 million for 23 weeks. It's more.
So it's not all about the money for him, no.
Well, I think. Look,
It's like,
with Man City don't want to lose. They don't want to subsidise his wages, right? So they don't want to lose out of it, but they're not asking a massive fee.
they were asking for a loan fee, weren't they? It's been reported for 5 mil, wasn't it?
No, it's not true. It's not true. I've asked my sources, and they say that's not true. It is an expensive deal, but there isn't a massive £5 million loan fee that some are reporting. As Kevin Nolan said, we are great admirers. He sort of let the cat out of the bag, even though David Moyes refused to talk about other players. Kevin Nolan's happy to. We're in advanced talks. I know Alan Nixon today said the deal's basically been done, premature. Mirror said something similar yesterday, but they're all jumping the gun. I spoke to the club tonight. They said we don't comment on speculation, but basically there's no news on this front. So in other words, it's not significantly along yet to give any update. But they continue to work on it.
I'm in 2 minds about this deal, to be honest.
So who does he displace then?
Well, it's got to be Souček, hasn't it?
You fuck off.
Do you really reckon?
Well, you don't replace Alvarez unless you're going to move Alvarez.
He might. We fucking takes him off enough. Does he take Souček off?
I don't know. It's a difficult one. If Phillips comes in,
Not for him. It's not.
I don't know.
Well, if you go like for like, it's Alvarez, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm
Is that
hoping
not
not.
the case?
I'm hoping not.
I can't remember what he's like, actually, the guy.
Well, he's a
I didn't
defensive
think he was.
midfielder,
He's a
isn't he?
defensive midfielder.
But for England, I seem to record him going ahead, advancing more than Declan. Declan sitting.
Yeah.
So, what, James Ward-Prowse, see you later.
Yeah. We shall see. We shall see if we get across the line. My
I wouldn't care if we didn't.
my senior source says we are currently looking at 20 different players. We might sign one on loan. He was very clear, not permanently. We might sign one on loan, or two, or none. So don't get, if we're looking at 20 different players, don't get hung up about particular names. I mean, we were looking at Smith Rowe.
Arteta says he's not interested, and
Well,
Smith
no,
Rowe
he
says he's not
didn't.
interested.
Yeah, but managers say this kind of stuff, and then a minute later,
Smith Rowe said he's not interested as well. It's
Well,
like,
yeah, maybe.
where do they come up with these things?
Well, obviously agents go, oh yeah, I'm sure my client would, But look, he's one of 20 names. Calvin Phillips is one of 20 names. There's another 18 names we don't know. Interesting that look, and he's a good friend of mine, Mr. Writes to the Guardian, Jacob Steinberg, has linked two strikers. And yesterday he talked about that Aston Villa rejected a loan offer for, I forget the striker's name. And he was also talking about another striker, and I forget his name, for 55 million. Do you know the one I mean?
No. Why would we know?
Well, I thought you follow the.
You're the ITK. We don't kid yourself that everyone gives a fucking shit about transfers. We don't.
Well, so he was linking us with this £55 million striker, and who's injured till
sounds
April
like us.
anyway.
That sounds like a man.
Yeah. So and what I've been told by my senior sources, striker's not a priority, right? So I'm not calling Jacob out, but I've been told that, I've been told the Aston Villa one is not an option. It's not someone we looked at, and we certainly didn't get turned down. And the other guy, we've got some interest, but not for this winter. Maybe in the future, but he's injured till. So I've been told you don't get strikers in January. They really don't, and they're not priorities. And we're unlikely to go for one. If we do get someone, it will be a loan, one, maybe two, or maybe none. So there you go. There's a transfer news.
Brilliant.
In
maybe
other news,
nothing.
In other news,
he's better be better than that.
Ben Johnson. They've made a decision. He was available to be sold. They've made a decision that they're not going to sell him this January. They're going to offer him a new deal in February when the transfer window closes. They hope to agree. They're pleased with his form, the way he played in Bristol, the way he played yesterday, and believe that he's a homegrown player. West Ham need homegrown players.
What's the problem then? Why aren't we signing him?
Well, because he wants 60 grand a week. Right. He's on 20 grand a week.
Right. So, homegrown Premier League player.
Well, how much would you pay him? I don't know.
I'm not the fucking. I don't own a football club, do I?
Well, hopefully there's a negotiation somewhere in between. Maybe 45. Yeah.
Why would he? Why would that just?
Well, that's a lot of money for him.
So will he get 60 somewhere else? I mean, it's a supply and demand kind of thing. If he will get.
Well, they said they're not going to sell him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'd either go for free or he signs a new contract because he's.
What do you think he's worth then? And then try and work out if
he's not worth a lot.
If
he was sold with 6 months left on his contract, he's only worth a few million. I mean, how much would someone?
So if you were to buy a similar type of player, how much would he be worth?
With 6 months on his contract.
By the state of fucking Fornells and Benny plays, he's got to be a £20 million player.
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
Well, there you go.
Player.
So how's a 60 grand sound wrong for a player you're not buying? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's whatever way you're looking at it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, last week, the geezer was sort of like, oh, we just don't need him. And then suddenly, these guys can play football. I mean, you'd never think it, would you? At a football club, someone coming from the academy better play football. I mean, must have been a shock to them.
Well, they've got 6 months to try and negotiate. No,
it's not our money. If he's only got 6 months to go, can't he start negotiating with other clubs now?
Yeah.
Not, I think only clubs abroad, isn't it?
Well, it could be, but that's another club, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is there any interest in him, Sean?
No, there's been no bids in as yet. No. There's no bids to.
What's the other news then?
That
one's great.
The other news is Ben Rama.
Right.
No bids in for Ben Rama. There's been a lot.
That's not great news either.
They're saying, look, if the player wants to leave, we won't stand in his way. However, for all this talk about Marseille and we've rejected, we've had one inquiry. We've had no talks. We've had no offers. So, it's interesting, to have an offer to turn down, but we haven't had an offer. They would prefer to sell Ben Rama,
but he's not worth anything.
Well, they believe there is a valuation.
Yeah. Well, that's why they run a football club and I don't. Fucking hell.
Moving on.
What's a fucking kidney worth then? If there's a valuation of him, Jesus Christ.
Same with Agur. Doesn't want to play for us. Away in African nations. If we get a valuation, we get our money back. 30 million, we'll sell him. But there's been no interest, and as there's been no interest, there's been no bids. There might have been inquiries from intermediaries, but no bids have come in. And unless someone puts a bid in, he's going to be with us until the summer, and he's just going to have to knuckle down and play for us.
Oh, so that's a good player. So, any good news?
Well, yes, there is. Funny you should say that.
Hit us with it.
The one good piece of news is yesterday one of my good friends was in the director's box at Sheffield United, and
you said it was Paul Turner. Not a good friend. Not a good friend at all.
Paul is a good friend of mine, and he started talking to.
You starting to sound like the Moose, you know that.
He started to talk to this guy, and he said, I recognise you, don't I? He said, well, maybe you... my brother's David Moyes. He went, oh, you're Kenny. He said, yeah, I'm Kenny. Anyway, they started talking, and he told him about Nick, and he told him about social media. He said, but, your brother, there's a section that want it out, but that's mostly social media. When you meet people in the ground, they're not usually like that. Anyway.
Fucking are. Ones I speak to are.
So anyway... so they get talking, and apparently Kenny was going, look, my brother really wants to stay at West Ham. I do expect him to be here next year, and the deal will be done. So, we've heard that before, and I've said that I spoke to someone who spoke to David Moyes, who said he's got unfinished business here. He doesn't plan to leave, and he will do what he do to get a new contract signed. So... there you go. That's from his brother, who also believes he'll be here next season. So there's your bit of good news, Len.
Did you know if Kenny listens to the podcast?
I don't know if Kenny listens to the podcast.
Kenny, if you're listening, I think your brother's a wanker.
Oh, he doesn't mean that, Kenny.
No, I fucking do.
Of course, when I published a picture, and I think I sent it to you, of Kenny talking. He was there with Terry Brown, and who's looking very old.
Everyone loves him.
Terry Brown's looking very old.
Everyone's old favourite.
And he said
he's entitled, he don't sleep at night.
He said that was the only West Ham directors there. I don't know why that was, but he what was I going to say? No, it's gone.
I was waiting for the good news. Where's the good news?
Where's the good news?
That was it.
It's been over half.
Our most successful manager ever will be here next season. That was
you're wind up. We've been here over half hour. You ain't said anything nice.
No, there is no good news. Souček, apparently, some of the players flew back to Stansted after the game. Some went on their own way in cars, including Aaron Cresswell. I guess he went to Liverpool. But apparently, and I'm hearing more and more about this, and I don't want to single one player out, but I will. Apparently, afterwards, Souček, there was kids waiting to get their photos or get something signed with Souček. And he just walked all past them and refused to have his picture taken, which is very unlike Souček. But
maybe he's heard that Calvin Phillips is coming.
Well, I've heard this from some other people like Paquetá and even Bowen now won't sign memorabilia outside of. And there's two reasons for that. Number one,
one's money.
Number one, that some of them have signed exclusive deals to sign memorabilia, and number two is the amount of people that now use kids to pose to get memorabilia signed outside the training ground and then go and flog it themselves.
Yeah. And number three is the people in the club that get backhanders for it. There's nothing wrong with that, but there you go.
I suppose, I don't know. It just seems that if you can't give it, and look, it's the same at Chelsea. I pass Cobham every day where Chelsea play, and there's great big notices up there saying, players will not stop here to talk, have photos, or sign autographs. So fuck off, So they don't put fuck off, but there are big signs in Cobham saying, no fans here. Please do not.
You know what I think about footballers, Sean?
What do you think about them?
I think they're self-centered wankers. I've always told you.
Yeah. So, is there any good news?
No good news then. What about this guy who's going to come in and be the analytical?
Right. So, thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So Tim Steiden, my source confirmed there is a spectacled German guy, and I forget his name. Can you remember his name? Hans something, is it?
Hans Zimmer.
He's unimportant to me. You shouldn't need to know his name.
Analyst. What is his name? Maximilian. His name is Maximilian Hahn. I knew it was Hahn. Maximilian Hahn. He used to work for Brenner Weldon. Is it? That's where Tim used to be. No, Werder Bremen. I got the wrong way round. So yeah, but apparently when we talked to the senior source and he said, oh yeah, he's one of many we brought in for Tim. We're building a whole team around Tim. According to X, he's bringing his brother in as well. Tim Steiden is bringing his brother in. Nothing like a bit of nepotism. So yeah, Tim's brother is supposed to be joining next year. And there's another guy who took over from the guy who went to Aberdeen, chief analyst. So apparently they've got quite a few people. So I did ask the question, well, what about Rob Newman?
What about him?
And I was told that he is still very well thought of, and he fits in with the new structure and we're working with the new people. So, I mean, this is a strange one to me. So here's a guy who was brought in as head of recruitment, right? All right, he was a chief scout before, and I was told at Man City he was mostly scouting kids. But anyway, he's brought in as head of recruitment. In comes the technical director and he's demoted. Then you've got sporting director, he's demoted further. Now they've got a head of scouting analysis, and he's demoted further. Has he got just no pride at all?
Is he picking up the same? Yeah, is he picking up the same tab?
He might just be happy with his roles.
Yeah,
I mean, no
maybe
pride.
his roles stayed the same, but just other people were there.
Well, he's not head of recruitment anymore.
Well, we had no fucking recruitment a couple of years ago.
I know, but he was brought in as head of recruitment.
Well, there was the only one there, wasn't he?
And now there's a technical director,
we did have. His name was Salty.
And head of technical scouting.
Any real fucking news, Sean?
Well, how does this all end up, Sean?
With a loan for Callum Wilson. There you go. You heard it here first.
Callum Wilson?
Callum Wilson is available on loan.
What, from Newcastle?
From Newcastle.
We wouldn't want him, would we? Let's face it.
Well, we stop and storming against us, John.
Well, you say that, John. Can you imagine him in Antonio?
He hates us.
Well, but,
And I think most people have got a disliking for him as well.
Yeah. No, let's be honest. There is very little good news, I can tell you.
But how does all this like that? Okay, you look at it in the whole. You got Tim Steiden establishing, which looks like a proper infrastructure now to run a football club, which is kind of what we've been waiting for since the old Dildo Brothers took over. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's only taken them, what's it now, 11, 12 years or whatever where they're at.
Yeah.
So they finally look like they're getting the infrastructure right. They've got a manager that they can be nailed on, that they're not likely to go, very unlikely to get relegated and be mid-table and maybe have a go at a cup if he feels like it. so they're happy. But then, is he going to be able to perform under the remits that Stuyton's going to operate under? He's going to want to be in charge of the analytical performances of players and bringing in players. Will Moyes, being the old school that he is, be able to do that? And does that mean that he can adapt to work with Stuyton, which means then we're going to get him for next season, which means he will after the squad gets alienated, none of the youth get blooded. Did you see that table that came out in the week about the amount of youth players that have been brought into the team in the last 18 months or something?
I did, yeah.
And West Ham were nowhere near it.
Yeah.
So is that what we've got to look forward to? We've got to look forward to...
I don't know. You might be right, and we don't know what role he will play. By the way, Dylan Kern now is the first team recruitment analyst that's been brought in. He replaced Jordan Miles, who was our first team recruitment analyst. Remember, he was the only guy, our only scout in the whole team.
Yeah, I remember we only had one, didn't we? Then
he's now head of recruitment at Aberdeen Football Club. He left us to. He's obviously only used to working on his own, so he's left for Aberdeen.
So this is kind of like with Len again. It's like this season. Let's just get this season to bed so we can see how this all pans out.
Yeah.
It all just needs to.
He'll get going again in March, but I can't be doing with this.
I still think. Look, with your
Premier League limbo.
Moyes will be here. I don't know if you heard, John. I don't know if you were here the other week, but I've had £100 charity bet with Nick that
you're going to lose that bet.
No, I won't.
You fucking will.
Kenny knows.
Knows fuck all.
A charity will win either way. So
yeah, charity will.
But it's. I just find it. I don't know. I mean, I suppose with Sue Fowl at least we won't be getting the old Allardyce long throws anymore for the next 3 games.
Yeah.
So, there's always a positive somewhere.
Oh, there is one bit of good news. I forgot about it. And that is West Ham will be taking the stadium owners to call over beer prices. West Ham came out the most expensive price for a pint of beer, £6.50. The most expensive pie, £5.35 in the Premier League. For the last 3 years, the stadium owners have been avoiding the comparative club clause, which looks at the average price of pies and pints and food and drink over Spurs, Chelsea and Arsenal. They've continued to make excuses, London Stadium. They've continued to blame everyone else. They sued Alan Overy and won $2 million. And now West Ham
Who's
said
Alan Overy?
They are the legal team that put together.
Was 4.
Sorry,
I thought it was 4 million.
No, 2 million. £2 million compensation out of court settlement. They created the first 2013 concessionaire agreement that everyone's been arguing in the court ever since, and London Stadium argued, well, you made a mess of that agreement. You should have put better clauses in, etc. So they've paid $2 million out of court. I mean, the long-term liabilities for the London Stadium is £232 million.
What's that over the 99-year lease?
Yeah, 200 liabilities of more losses.
It's terrible, isn't it? It's unsustainable, isn't it?
It is unsustainable, John.
But I mean, I was having a moan at you because you obviously had nothing else to do and started banging on about this on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I was just like, honestly, the club have known about this for nearly 3 seasons now.
They have.
And they have done nothing about it. And that's a complete
because
contempt
I've shown you stuff.
for the fan
Aaron
base.
Brady promised me last season they would go league.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Last season.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
can we expect a reduction in beer prices and when?
Will they buy the whole fucking ground of beer once they've done that? Will they buy us all a beer for the excessive prices we've been paying?
How about the fucking lawyers buying us a fucking beer?
Unfortunately,
Jesus
I think
Christ.
it will be argued in the court and a judge will decide. Will there be any beer compensation? Unlikely, but it might be enforced. If it does, right, don't hold you. It will come down to £5.75. The correct price of a pint, unless of course Spurs, Arsenal and Chelsea put up their prices. This season, a pint of beer should be £5.75.
It doesn't sound like a thing that will go to court, Sean.
It is going to go.
No, but they'll settle it. They'll just reduce the fucking price. They're not going to pay.
Well, they don't want to. This is it. At the moment, they've got no control.
But
What they
isn't this what you call it, Delaware
Delaware
North?
North. So here's the interesting thing,
But
right?
don't they play all their figures about it? They just show a loss all the time,
There
don't
they
they?
do. Yeah, they do, John. And their figures have come out, you're right, and show loss. But here's the funny thing, right? In the concessionaire agreement created by Alan and Overy, right? They created this comparable clause, which Karen Brady insisted goes in. But when they drafted the contract for Delaware North for the 25-year catering, they forgot to put it in. So Delaware North are going, we're in no obligation to abide by this comparable club clause. That's your problem, not our problem.
So who forgot to put it in? Did LLDC?
Yeah, I guess so. When they
We'll
were
have to
drafting the
fucking pay
contract
the
for the
difference then, wouldn't they?
they don't want to. But there you go.
Dear.
And they're still arguing, by the way, over the the windfall tax. So we've paid them like £6.5 million when Daniel Kredinsky bought into the club 27%. We
Right.
paid them 6.7 in 2 payments, and they're still saying no. That's not enough. There's a calculation that Rothschild put in that sort of gave an example of how you calculate it, and they're arguing, and that could end up in court as well because they still reckon they're owed money. In the meantime, they're trying to make out, because the London Stadium and London Stadium 185 have now released their figures in January, they made a profit when really, and Kieran Maguire said this, they require £30 million of cash from LLDC and the London Mayor and the London Assembly every single year just to keep afloat. So make no, all this smoke and mirrors, bullshit. £30 million of taxpayers' money keeps that stadium afloat. And the naming rights, and I think I said this before, won't be happening anytime soon. There's a disagreement on how you split the money, disagreement on what rights they would have. It's all premature. West Ham needs to sign off it, and they're not going to do that. So it's all smoke and mirrors. All smoke and mirrors. You're
Any
right. There is
danger of
smoke and mirrors.
any danger of the stadium falling down, Sean?
No,
Bit windy out.
Unfortunately not. Could burn down, but no.
Burn down.
No, they're putting. I could see someone going through it. They're putting a £4.5 million solar membrane that should stop the leaks over the roof, Glenn.
Oh,
Sounds
that's
like
nice. Yeah, that's nice.
Anywho,
It makes it honestly. It does make you wonder why there hasn't been like all these people that have been trying to buy football clubs. Why someone hasn't come in with a lump of money for West Ham and buy the stadium, because they would sell it, wouldn't they?
I don't know.
They'd
It's
have
a bit
to-
political at the
They'd
moment.
feel compelled to make it a proper stadium, though, wouldn't they?
I don't think they would sell it, John. And the problem is, one, I don't think they would sell it politically. You've got Sadiq Khan and Susan Hall from the Conservatives, the election coming up, and it's a political hot potato. But two, I don't think anyone would take it, including West Ham, without a subsidy. I wrote about this. They would want a subsidy of at least £10 million a year to take it off someone's hands and say, we need a subsidy of £10 million because it's such a white elephant. It's got
Well, it's
so
not
many.
such a white elephant, is it?
No, it is. Even if we took it over, because unless you pay off the catering and all the other
Yeah,
contracts,
but if you took it over, the way it's solved is for LLDC and everyone to go bankrupt.
no, it won't go. So under the contract, the government, the central government, and Cameron Brady put this in, act as a guarantor. So it doesn't matter whether LLDC, London 185, E20 go bankrupt, because the guarantor is the UK government and the taxpayer. And Karen Brady made sure that wasn't, liquidation administration was an option to them. And well done, Karen, for doing that. But it means that they haven't got an option of
Honestly,
getting out of it by.
Look, we're nearly at an hour. You've said nothing to cheer me up.
No,
Fucking nothing, Sean.
nothing. I'm sorry.
Should
So
we get on to question time?
Well, I think John said he didn't want to stay.
Yeah, no, I'll leave you to question time.
I don't blame
Why
you.
don't we do predictions, John, before you leave? We are playing. You know what? I don't know who we're playing next. We are playing. Is it Brentford? Oh, at home. You come into
We are
that, John.
playing Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. You're right. It's not Brentford. I looked at that. It looked like you're right. Bournemouth at home. 7:30 next. What day is that? Is that Tuesday or
It's
Thursday.
the first.
Thursday? Yeah, 10 days time. What do you reckon, John?
Bournemouth at home. I reckon we're going to win 2-1.
Ooh. We'll have to see how you're doing on your Super 6. Len?
Bit hard to tell on CBC the starting lineup, isn't it? But
Ooh.
I think it could be 2-2.
Desmond
2-2. And I'll go for a 1-0 win, obviously.
Obviously.
I've been Sean. Nigel has... That's not... Len has been...
Nigel has been in.
I've been
abroad.
Nigel.
Len has been...
I've been Nigel. I'm bored, yeah. Fucking terribly bored.
John has been...
Oh, just enjoying myself, innit?
Come on, you
wonderful,
irons.
Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast. Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast.